Hey guys, it's Zach, and today we're going to talk about creature abilities and their interactions. So let's go. There are many creature abilities in Magic the Gathering, and most abilities are specific to certain colors. In this video, we're going to talk about the ability, we're going to talk about the color the ability belongs to, and what the ability does and how it interacts with cards. First ability we're going to discuss today is called Death Touch. A creature with toughness greater than 0 that's been dealt damage by a source with Death Touch is destroyed. Death Touch is normally found in the black and green color schemes, with cards like Aether Poisoner and Ambush Viper being examples. Here's how it works. Say I have a 10/10 Metalworks Colossus. I decide to attack you. You decide to block with your Aether Poisoner, which is a 1/1. He has Death Touch. That 1 point of damage is enough to actually kill my creature. The great thing I find about Death Touch creatures is that no matter how tough or weak they are, they can always keep your opponent's strongest creatures at bay because they don't want to swing in to a 1/1 creature that can kill them. The next ability we're going to discuss today is called Defender, largely found in blue and white, but also found in other colors as well. Defender is, just as it sounds, a defensive ability. Creatures and walls with Defender cannot attack. They are great for defense, but you can't go on the offensive with them. Creatures with Defender are a great way to hold off offensive decks long enough for you to get into your win strategy. Fortunately, most creatures with Defender have a good amount of toughness to absorb most attacks from moderate level creatures that your opponents may throw at you. The next ability is First Strike. Found in red, white, and black, First Strike is an ability that changes the rules for combat by adding an additional combat damage step. Normally in combat, Aether Chaser and Bitterblade Warrior would exchange and end up killing each other. However, because Aether Chaser has First Strike, he deals his damage to Bitterblade Warrior before Bitterblade Warrior has a chance to deal damage to him. However, when you have another creature with First Strike, it changes the rules. Aether Chaser and Ancestors Chosen would deal damage to each other at the same time, and because Ancestors Chosen has higher toughness, he would win the battle. The next ability we're going to discuss is called Double Strike. Double Strike is found in white and red, and Double Strike is an ability that allows a creature to deal combat damage twice per combat phase. Once during the first combat damage step, along with creatures that have First Strike, and again during the second combat damage step, along with creatures that have neither keyword. Double Strike is a highly offensive strategy. When used correctly, can end up overwhelming your opponent with damage. Here's an example of how it works. Say you have an Angelic Wall. With its 4 defense, normally our Edgewright couldn't get through it, but because he has Double Strike, he deals 4 damage, enough to get through the wall. We'll discuss in further detail. Say I have my Scarab God, and you have your Valkyrie. Normally your Valkyrie wouldn't deal damage enough to kill my guy, however you give it Double Strike, giving it First Strike damage, weakening my guy. Then we go to regular combat, where you have enough damage to finish off my guy, however my guy does have enough damage to finish your guy off as well. Next up is a very simple yet frustrating ability, Flying. Found in blue, white, and red creatures, Flying is an evasion ability that makes creatures without flying unable to block creatures with flying. So say we were going to combat, you decide to attack me. Well, your Valkyrie is going to go right over my Scarab God's head because he does not have flying, and deal damage straight to me, the player. You might be thinking to yourself, if I don't have a flyer, how do I deal with those pesky creatures? Well, Reach is the answer. Found in green, white, and red, creatures with Reach can block creatures with flying. So now whenever you play against an opponent that has a bunch of flyers, you don't have to worry. Let that opponent come out with the win forms, because when he attacks, your giant spider is going to be there to prevent all the damage. The next ability we're going to talk a little bit about is called Flash. Largely found in blue and green, Flash is an ability that allows a card that it is printed on to be played anytime that you can play an instant. Here's one example of how Flash works. Say you have no creatures on your board. I decide to attack with my Guild Mage, thinking it's going to be a quick 2 points, and then you flash out your Ambush Viper, blocking my attack. Here's another example. Say you decide to attack me with your Aether Stream Leopard, and I decide to block with my Tower Archer. However, my Tower Archer is going to die. But wait, I decide to flash in my Guard Hound, giving my Archer a +0/+3 boost, giving him enough defense to block and survive. Next ability up is Haste. Haste is largely found in red, but can be found in black and green. Haste is an ability that allows a creature to circumvent summoning sickness. Creatures with haste can attack or use activated abilities as soon as they enter the battlefield. Unlike the other colors, red creatures with haste can come out fast and attack right away, increasing the speed and pace of the game. The next ability up is called Hexproof. Hexproof is found in blue and green and is an ability that prevents a permanent or player from being the target of spells or abilities played by the opponents. Some creatures come with Hexproof. Hexproof can be given to creatures, and Hexproof can be given to you as a player too, to make sure that you're not the target of those tricky little life drain spells. So here's how Hexproof works. Say your opponent wants to countermand your Law Mage. Well, your Law Mage can't be the target of spells or abilities, meaning that your opponent cannot target it with a countermand. Pretty nifty. Indestructible is the next one that we're going to discuss, found in artifact, white and green creatures. A permanent with Indestructible can't be destroyed. Such permanents aren't destroyed by lethal damage, and they ignore state-based actions that check for lethal damage. How does it work, you say? Well, I'm glad you asked. Say you had a God of Passage out, and I decide to attack you with my Metalworks Colossus. Normally he's a big bad guy and he can run right over you. However, your guy has Indestructible, meaning that he does not take damage and is not destroyed, and my guy is left feeling sad and alone. Creatures with Indestructible are notoriously hard to get rid of. Double Strike, Death Touch, even board wipes. Nothing affects them and they sit there making you feel stupid. So, how do you get rid of an Indestructible? I'm glad you asked that. One word comes to mind. Exile. You're going to want to fill your sideboard with options that let you exile cards, because that will be the only way to get rid of a god or other indestructible creature. Next up is a very helpful ability, Lifelink, found in black and white. Damage dealt by a source with Lifelink causes that source's controller to gain that much life. So here's an example. Let's say I have an Aetherborn Marauder, and I attack you and you decide to block with your Blighted Bat. Well, they kill each other. However, because my creature has Lifelink, the 2 damage that it inflicts allows me to gain 2 life. Lifelink can be very handy because even if your opponent controls a wall that has more toughness than you can get by, simply attacking and him blocking with that wall will allow you to gain life from it. The next ability is called Regenerate, found in black and green. Regenerate is an effect which means the next time this permanent would be destroyed, it isn't. Instead, tap it, remove all damage from it, and remove it from combat. Creatures like the Wanderer and Asceticism are examples of creatures with Regenerate. Here's an example of how it works. Say my Ancient Silverback attacked your Blightsteel Colossus. Well, he would die, but I'm going to pay the 1 mana to regenerate him, which means I'm going to tap my Ancient Silverback, remove all damage that happened to him this turn, and I'm going to remove him from combat, so he'll be alive to fight another day. Trample is the next ability we're going to discuss, largely found in green. Trample is an ability that changes the rules for assigning damage in the combat damage step. An attacker with Trample can deal excess damage to the defending player or planeswalker even if it's blocked. A quick example of how it works is, say I attack with my Archweaver. You decide to block with your Naga Vitalist. Well, my Archweaver has 5 attack. Your defense is 2, so the 3 remaining is dealt to you or a planeswalker you control. Let's say I decide to end the game and your hopes by bringing out a Blightsteel Colossus. He's an 11/11 with Trample, and you decide to block with 2 creatures. Well, now your 2 creatures' total defense equals 7, meaning that 4 damage is carried over from my Blightsteel Colossus to either you, the player, or to a planeswalker that you control. The last stop on the ability train is Vigilance, found in white and green. Vigilance is an ability that, on creatures, allows creatures with Vigilance to attack without tapping. Basically, what this means is when you declare attacks, you don't have to tap your creature, which allows you to use them for defense on your opponent's turn, should they decide to attack you. Alright guys, well that's the end. Thank you for hanging in there with me on this very long video that I have made. If you liked it, please like and subscribe if you found it helpful. If you guys have any ideas for content or any ideas for videos that you would like to see, please go ahead and put it in the comments section because I'm always looking for content ideas. Thanks guys, and I'll see you on the next one.